Hey, this week we want to talk a little bit about retail sales numbers and continued disappointing jobs data on a little bit of a shorter week here in trading due to the holiday on Monday. My name is Brandon Steele, financial advisor with Mainsail Financial Group here in Bellevue. And our goal is every week just to bring to you some of the market news, the data, hopefully share the things that you can actually maybe act on or implement in your own strategies, or get some key takeaways here every week rather than bring in too much noise. Again, this week is a shorter week in trading on Monday, obviously with the holiday for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So for those who did have a 3-day weekend, hopefully you were able to enjoy a little longer weekend and that extra day off. We'll jump right into things because we want to spend a little time going back over jobs data. I'm sure you guys are maybe sick of hearing about jobs, but it's very important. And I know we just covered jobs in length last week, talking about the non-farm payrolls data and the ADP employment report. But I want to spend some time talking about initial jobless claims again. We were watching that very closely through the pandemic, especially early on, to really focus on that jobs market and what's going on there. And the reason I wanted to bring that back into focus is because over the past few weeks or so, those numbers have actually been ticking higher, higher than expected, higher than the previous week, and higher than really what we should be seeing. Although some of those numbers have been good lately, it's going the wrong way. And we have a lot of job openings. And so to see that initial jobless claims number start ticking up over the past few weeks is a little concerning. Certainly, some signs that we may be heading in the wrong direction there when we really need to fill some jobs, right, in the economy in general. So it's something to really pay attention to. I didn't think much of it, from 1 week to the next, but here now we've seen it maybe 3 or 4 weeks in a row. And so it's something that we're really starting to pay a little more attention to, something to kind of keep an eye on. And every Thursday they will report this number. So, if that helps you just to kind of keep watch as far as the initial jobless claims number every Thursday. On top of that, on Friday, we had retail sales down, and retail sales were down 1.9%. So, right? I mean, this is something that has been kind of the driving force behind a lot of this continued growth we've seen through the pandemic. Even through all this, sales have picked up and up and up and up. We've talked about the potential impact of inflation on some of these sales numbers recently. And so with that, to still be going back, as inflation is still running higher even than it was last month, is not good. Now, one thing I'll mention is that this is the month after Christmas, right after the holidays. So, obviously that may have a little bit of an impact, but it's still something to watch. If sales start to slow down, people aren't going back to work, sales slow down and spending kind of slows in general, that combination of things is something to really pay attention to. Part of that may be because of inflation. Maybe folks are spending a little bit less now because that inflation is now actually starting to hurt a little bit more, if that makes sense. So something to really pay attention to here. On top of that, again, markets, so that was on Friday. Markets were closed on Monday, so we're kind of back into a short trading week here already in the new year. But we also had housing starts and building permits come out above forecast still. So that just seems to keep kind of shining, seems to be, kind of a glimmer of hope in the markets. And then next week we have a lot because the Fed's coming on. So guess what? We're going to be talking about that. We have consumer confidence is maybe the lower point to touch on, but we will spend some time on that. And then Fed Chair Powell's news conference is on Wednesday next week. So we're going to talk a little bit about what he has shared at that point. The Fed is they are in the light right now, spotlight right now, because again, if we have a period of inflation and then, start to raise rates, I think it's necessary. I think maybe a little too late, but it can slow down growth. And so we're really going to focus on Fed Chair Powell's comments and, what the Fed is thinking in the coming months here, I think will be extremely important. So with that, we'll transition to our question of the week. And as always, if you guys have something on your mind, please do let us know. If you have anything you're hearing about, any questions you want us to cover, whatever the case might be, please do just reach out, send it to me directly. And if we end up using your question, I'd be more than happy to send a copy on me for you for the great thought. This week, we're going to spend some time talking about donor advised funds, or DAFs for short. Very clever. And the reason I want to spend some time here is that at the end of the year and the beginning of the year, a lot of times we're thinking about charitable contributions. And donor advised funds can be a great way to allow you to make those contributions, help a little bit with taxation, but not tie it directly to a specific charity where you're kind of, you've already made that decision. So basically what these donor advised funds allow you to do is it allows for deductible charitable contributions for whatever year you make that gift or that contribution, just like any other charitable contribution would do. Just like other charitable contributions, you can donate cash, you can donate stocks, you can donate quite a few number of other assets to those funds. And the potential benefit is that if you're not exactly sure where you want those funds to go yet, a donor advised fund can actually allow you to get all the tax benefits today without specifying exactly what charity you want to make those contributions to in the same year, right? So you can contribute, get all the tax benefits of that, and later on decide who that charity that you would like to give some of those assets to might be. Now, one thing I want to really focus on here when we talk about donor advised funds is that it is extremely, extremely important to understand that those contributions that you make to a donor advised fund are irrevocable. In other words, cannot be taken back out, right? So because you get some of these tax benefits, just like you would a charitable contribution in general, they're not going to allow you to have access to those funds as if they're your own money. You can't, donate, I don't know, $50,000 to a donor advised fund, and then 2 years later decide to take it back out. It is an irrevocable gift because of the tax benefits that you get with it. Maybe just to speak more generally, and for the most part, when you are making these types of contributions, whether to a trust, a charity, whatever it might be, if there's some sort of tax benefit, a lot of times for that tax benefit, you give up the revocable aspects. So again, a lot of times that side of it may create this level of, may create an irrevocable type of scenario. And again, donor advised funds certainly are in that category as well. So this can be extremely helpful, especially for donation strategies, and especially maybe younger folks. Like if you aren't quite sure where your passions lie quite yet, but you know that you do want to start putting money aside for something in the future, these can be a great way to do that, get some of the tax benefits, and find out later who that might go to. One thing I will mention is that the charity that does receive this ultimately does need to be a 501c3, an eligible charitable organization, as you might imagine. So that is important to note. Just for the most part, you're probably thinking that already, but in case something came up, you wanted to give it somewhere else and found out that it was not an eligible charity, that's important to kind of keep in mind too. So I think with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Again, please do let us know if there's any questions on your mind, and I will do my best to try and get those answered. Hopefully this week's question on donor advised funds was helpful, and we'll see you next Thursday at 3 p.m.